So this is where the truck sat for the last few years. That'll get your heart pumping in the morning. You have to carry speed with the telehandler up or it catches up on the lip of concrete. But I can't see where the container is. I'm not steering, but at the same time I am steering and he's steering, and he'll just crash into the building. He doesn't even like me. So at first glance, what do we have? This is a 1982 Kenworth K100. The quick story that I got on this truck as far as how long it's been sitting and when the last time it ran, it transferred owners about 5 years ago. It was towed into the spot that I got it from, and the guy that I purchased it from never tried to start it. And the story goes that this truck has not been started in approximately 20 years. My experience, it's probably pretty close. Another indicator that I can see is that this truck hasn't been on the road since 1991. Those are Pennsylvania inspection stickers, I believe. Here's Delaware 91. You can look at IFTA stickers. These are all so faded, I don't really know. Tioga, Pennsylvania. Any of you guys recognize this truck? Let me know if you do. So parked 20 years isn't the worst that I've done, but sitting that long is never good. And you're just gonna run into challenges when you're trying to start something that sat that long. And it is powered by a Cat 3406B. Full disclosure, I have never messed around with the Cat engines. Everything I've ever played with has been a big cam Cummins, so this will be a learning experience. Let's do a quick walk around tour and get right into it. Coming up in the cab. So this is an Aerodyne, I think is what this is called. It's got a full stand-up sleeper. Take these, let's rip off that Band-Aid. And you got windows. I guess this would be considered a double bunk. Shifter feels like neutral. What kind of 13 speed we have, I'm sure. I don't see any tags anywhere. This is never a good thing to see on a cabover. This is the cab jack, and it's been taken out. I also know that the cab jack is in the back of my truck, which is also not good. If you don't know, these cabs lift up and flip forward, and then you can work right on the engine. Only way to get them up is with hydraulics, because they're massive and heavy, and there's basically a bottle jack that pumps these guys apart. Cab goes up. You kind of get the picture from here. The cab jack that does all that lifting is in the back of my truck. So one of the first things is we have to get the cab flipped forward, which I am not looking forward to. I don't think there's anything crazy up in here. It's got a steering wheel. It smells bad. Oh, we got a CB. Breaker, breaker. This is Ron Burgundy. Come on back at ya, Bill. I have to go shower in gasoline now. A clutch pedal that's free. That's nice. The brake pedal's always the one. What is this thing here? This is leaving. Kenworth chastity belt. Gotta go. Better already. So the brake pedal and the throttle pedal seems to be what always kind of seizes up on these old trucks. Oh, it's free. Needs some lube, but that's better than seized. Can't reach this. That's free also. Needs a little bit of lube, but those are good signs. You know, this truck does have Jake brakes right there. Most important thing you can find on a truck. Jake's. Overall, I mean, it's complete, I guess. Be cool to camp in this thing. It's gonna take a lot of cleaning. Check this out. We're already making money back. Automotive wire. Chinese tool set. Oh, makeup mirror. Oh, service record. Why do you need to see yourself when you're writing a service record? Lots of crusty back there. You gotta be careful getting out of a cab over. There's not really a step there. Very easy to fall out. Oh! We got in here 30 gear oil, that's nice. Something for CVs. Automatic training fluid, 1540. I'm money ahead in this thing. That's crazy good. I don't think there's really any other compartments. There's another one on that side, but all the tires except one, I think, are holding air, which is kind of nice. This is a single frame. And it's got the 8-bag Kenworth suspension. No idea if that's good or bad. I think this is where the cab jack hooked up. And it looks like this cab had air ride. The other thing from watching No Nonsense No House video is I think the cab lock is also run by the jack. So you run the jack and it releases the cab lock and then it picks up the cab. What do we got for fuel? It smells like diesel. I'd start with that. What's in here? Whole lot of nothing. Passenger side comes right out. Like some airbag, something or other in there. Up a ladder to get in. This is wonderful. All right, well, I think that will conclude today's tour. First things first, I'm not sitting or working in this kind of a mess. These. Cool old tape measure. Uh-oh. I broke it. Good hose clamps and a pocket knife. And some Brandon tools I'll probably never use. A Timex watch. Isn't that famous brand that's worth millions of dollars a piece? Gotta be. All right, looking way better in here. Let's see. I didn't clean the sleeper out, but I'm really just cleaning the area that I'm going to be working in. I don't want to sit in that and smell it and work in it. You know, it took maybe 45 minutes to clean this cab. Really, it's worth it. And it could be argued, well, you don't even know it runs yet. You're right, I don't. But my goal is to get it running, and to do that, I have to work in that cab, and it's gross. Okay, so the starter in this truck is a 24 volt, I believe, and then all the other components are 12, so it uses this thing and a couple of these other relays to step the battery voltage down to 12 and power all the headlights, the marker lights, probably all the HVAC stuff, etc., etc. I'm making battery terminals again. I show this a lot, just copper tubing, a couple inches long. Just heat this up into that soldered liquid again. Get it up on there. Now you got a brand new battery end that you made right here. It's always a bonus if you remember to put heat shrink on. Those are two brand new battery ends. I much prefer this style battery end over this. I don't like these. So I made these so that they'll accept or work on the battery that I like working with. Okay, one thing I've learned is if you can get the fuel filter full and get fuel all that much closer to the injection pump before you start cranking, you drastically increase your chances of success. One of the things that would make this job a lot easier is if I could get the cab up, but I'm being lazy. I'm gonna try to get that fuel filter off without lifting the cab and fill it and put it back on. But it's tight. I'm losing oxygen. Ow. We don't need this sitting on the turbski. The other thing I like to do to prevent catastrophe is pop off the intake, make sure there's no mouse house we're gonna suck into the engine, and that gives us a way to shut this down if things get hairy. And that's happened to me before when it was least expected. Come on! Jeez. One time fits always. I don't see anything concerning down there. We're just gonna send it. I have to try to get back out of here. Otherwise, I live here. It's like that Ace Ventura movie. Yeah, that was so much easier than lifting the cab. Ugh. Not this again. Smells old. But I bet you it's gonna feed on its own. Well, that's disgusting. Hold, please. Okay, I learned nothing. I'm sort of tempted to just try to start this. I gotta check the fluids, and I just noticed this is where you check the oil. It's right up to the full mark, not over full, which is great. Black oil, I like that. Nothing in the radiator. I almost thought I got stuck in there. That was really scary. I got it off the turbo. I guess in an emergency I could slap something over that turbo. A little bit of a spark, but not a big deal. So this should be a 24 volt system, taking 24 volts to the starter, and then hopefully that thing's inverting and converting. Leave this right by your battery in case you gotta unhook any of this real fast. No lights on. Let's see if any of the lights work. Let's just turn lights on the dash. That's cool. Nothing else. If you aren't using the free Upside app yet, you're basically throwing money away. With Upside, you can get real cash back on daily essentials, gas, groceries, dining, and I'm not talking about the weird reward points and confusing credit systems. This is actual money you can transfer straight into your banking. There are over 100,000 gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants on Upside, so cash back is always just around the corner. So you claim the offer, continue, and we'll upload a receipt as soon as I get one. Here's how it works. You open up the app, claim an offer for whatever you're trying to buy, pay like normal with your credit or debit card, follow the steps in the app, and Upside pays you. Users can earn up to 3 times more cash back with Upside than with loyalty programs or even credit card rewards. Now it's just gonna upload the receipt. And right now people are earning over $1 million in cash back every single week. My camera keeps wandering that way. Sit still, fella. Download the free Upside app and start getting paid on things you're already buying anyway. Upside has given back $1 billion to its users. Download the free Upside app and use promo code PROJECTS to get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas using promo code PROJECTS. Okay, moment of truth. We have a key that works. Oh boy. Always make sure you're in neutral. Let's see what happens. We got cranking. Do you have any evidence of fuel smoke? Doesn't look like it. With all my, what do I do with my brand new cans of fresh air? It is building oil pressure, and I can smell the burnt ether. We don't have any fuel yet. Okay, I added 2 more batteries in hopes that it helps. You're manning the starting fluid department. I don't think this is a 24-volt system. I need to do some research. This is what happens. So something is melted connecting immediate power to the starter over there. I'm wondering if when I sent 24 volts, this key, something in the key got melted. I can remember where some idiot mangled the threads on this. Be careful, you don't just dive out of this thing. All right, so it's not the ignition, something melted farther down the line. Well, I'm gonna lift the cab because I'm not pulling that starter under there, and there's other things I need the cab off for too. Okay, crisis averted. Fuel tank filled. Who's up for round 2? My Amish Sawzall. I got this in there, not going anywhere. Safety third. I don't like this ladder. Look at that. Goose poo.
Boy.
Well, in a series of unfortunate events, I'm gonna have to pull the starter because I think the solenoid is welded itself together.
How would you say that happened?
Not even the slightest clue.
Enthusiastic. I have some of it. You don't have it.
Okay. Ah! Okay. Ah! Ow! Ah! Help!
I hope the neighbors can hear you yelling help. What's its name? Junior.
Bobby.
Congratulations.
So I think what's happening is that this starter solenoid is stuck, maybe because of some overcurrenting issues. I don't know, that starter says 24 volts, so I don't know what I did. Maybe I didn't do anything wrong and this thing just stuck because it needs some love. I don't know. Maybe separate this. That's welded and melted. That's not supposed to be contacting. Either I can clean it up and make it work again, or it's gonna have to be replaced. Obviously, we're gonna try to salvage first.
That's why.
See if it'll pop loose. Yeah, look at that, see? Didn't really take much, it just, I think this is totally salvageable. Polished. That's where it was arcing out. Took this all apart, cleaned the studs. Everything's back together. Let's tap test. We don't have any spinning without permission. One thing I think is really worth doing, especially on bolts that are hard to reach, if you can take a tap and a die and clean out the threads of the bolt holes if it's blind holes, and then threads of the bolts. That really makes putting them back in a lot easier. I did forget to disconnect this wire. Not ideal, but I guess it works. All right, I'm gonna put the starter in. That really makes me nervous when things like that go that easy. I'm now questioning everything else. Back to square one. Alright, batteries wired back in a 24 volt system. I'm not getting carried away with this tonight, but I'd like to see if it at least crank over. Alright, we're back to cranking over, that's good. So I just noticed this. That's a hole right into the fuel tank, which means most likely that's water. And this tank is connected to that tank through a crossover tube, so most likely that's water. Which unfortunately means that anything that's been sucked up into there is probably not usable. We're gonna set up temporary fuel right to here. tried to twist this thing off and this brass fitting was twisting. Okay, that's cool. I'm afraid that pulled a bunch of mud water up there. Dang it, that sucks. If you ever want to see how much water is in it, if it'll burn, and it still burns. So there's diesel in there, I guess. Ah, oh, my hand's on fire. Ah! I know, I'll just sprinkle some diesel on it. Didn't immediately put the fire out. Okay. And then to save yourself a couple dollars, you just wipe this old oil. And then to save yourself a couple dollars, you just wipe the old fuel filter off, fill it with good fuel, and stick it back on. I should have done this in the first place. Perfecting schlag. I will hook up temporary fuel to this. At least it's not raining. Four state trucks. When I got this truck, I just couldn't help myself, and I put an order in with 4 state trucks, and it's here. Got a lot more work to do to that before we get to this, but I'm looking forward to putting all this on that. All right, temporary fuel source here. Lines running up right to here. I'm getting more and more sophisticated with each passing day on my temporary fuel sources.
Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Never messed around with a cat engine.
I have all these injectors cracked and the lines popped loose a little bit. Let's crank it and see if we get fuel out of there. This is gonna be a will it run after 20 years and a cold start, all wrapped up into one. Diesel bro will not be able to look away from this. And I do have the I don't have any friends button hooked up. That being said, we still have to have the key on so that the fuel shutoff solenoid comes off. Check to make sure you're still in first gear so it takes off immediately. You know, just for the sake of science here, with all those tightened, I'm gonna give it a quick breath of fresh air. Those batteries are just not strong enough right now. It's also 25 degrees. I added a third battery. I got 2 fresh batteries. They've been on the charger for about an hour. I'm also going to put some heat into the intake. don't think we're getting any fuel. Back on the inside of the beast. Let's just see if we're getting fuel out of the top side of the injectors. I feel like the fuel system is a little bit airlocked or something. I don't know why I think that, I just do. Whoa. Oh my god, that tastes so bad. It's in my eyes. What's the diesel fuel rating on a GoPro? It's pushing air. I just did a bunch of bleeding on the lines over there. I'm gonna try it without ether. Well, it's getting late. I'm gonna go put all 4 batteries on a charger for an hour apiece, get those all brought up. Come back tomorrow with a fresh set of eyes and brand new batteries. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Okay, take that party somewhere else, please. Hopefully that warms up the engine a little bit. Got heat in the intake. It's been about 30 minutes, so I'm gonna pull the tarp back, and I got my buddy, we'll try to crank it up and see what happens. Okay, Jim, fire it up. All right, I'm getting a really firm pump here. Really good. Priming this here, I was pushing fuel out of this injector line. I am shamed. As it turns out, the fuel supply must be hooked up to the fuel supply on the pump, and the return should be hooked up to a return line going out. The opposite of that configuration does not work. Squeeze the bulbous thing. Look at that. Fuel flowing in the right direction. Alright, before we get carried away here, now I'm gonna... Please don't jump up and down on that thing while I'm under here. Alright, with that small crisis averted, the old switcheroo, as they say, we'll crank with the injectors open and try to purge whatever of the new nasty that I pulled in there. Fire it up, Jim! Jim? Oh yeah. Alright, fire it up, Jim! starting fluid. Seconds. This thing's been charging for a while, and I've been working under there with a tarp. Man, it's hot. I don't know, let's give it another whirl and see what happens. This is what I think we should be seeing right there. See that? And most of them are not doing that. So I just spent some time, cracked all them loose, and I was using the primer on the fuel filter housing to like push fuel up through all those. I know I should let the batteries charge, but I'm excited. I'm motivated because I said I'm motivated. Back out here the next frigid morning. My batteries are hopefully charged. Gonna have to rewarm the old cat. I did like 18 minutes of research and learned a bunch of new things about all this. I think I have to take the fuel shutoff solenoid off because I don't think it's working right. Okay. 2 wires and some kind of hydraulic line. What's that about? All right, so I just got off the phone with a gentleman, get his business information and plug it down below because he took the time to help me out and I greatly appreciate that. So there's a gear pump on that shaft and that should be pumping fuel all the time. So I want to crack this, I think, crank the engine, and we should be getting lots of fuel out of here. If that's the case, then we are either at a fuel shutoff solenoid issue or an injection pump issue. And hopefully it's not the injection pump because that would be catastrophic. Using my West Virginia hammer here. See what happens. Cow. Okay, what in the world? What is happening? What? Dude, I'm genuinely confused. My phone conversation with Charles just scared it to life. What is happening here? Okay, so thank goodness for that that emergency shut off because I had this thing pegged wide open. I don't get rattled much and I'm like shaking. That's what in the world? Now we need to figure out a way to safely shut this thing off. That's gonna be key. Where did I put my fuel shutoff rod? Okay, I got my fuel shut off here. I released the throttle so that doesn't go crazy. It's the lesson of the day, is just always be ready. Let's try it again. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, so it is freakishly cold out here. I'm gonna set up my heater and try to warm this engine up again. We are building oil pressure too. It's just really slow and I would rather just try to heat up the oil a little bit. Oh, I just fell down. It's all right, I only hurt my face. It actually warms up quite fast in there with that tarp. 35 degrees out. We got good oil pressure though. Sometimes with these things, man, you just gotta outfight them. So the fuel supply lines are a pretty big diameter, and what I have is very small. I assume we're probably pulling barely enough fuel to kind of keep it running and idling. So I think the next step here is gonna be kind of twofold. So 4-State Trucks is actually sending me out a whole new exhaust for this thing. It's gonna be super nice looking. The tanks need to be pulled off. It needs new straps, and they need to be cleaned out and then put back on. We got this big hole that water's been getting into. I feel like this could be saved or used for something. Okay. Don't cut the tank. Holy cow. Hey! The problem is they rot right behind the clamp. Give it to me now. Looking inside that tank, there is some yucky in there, but honestly, nothing I'd be too terribly concerned about. I'm just gonna drain all that out, because that's horrible. I need one of the full straps, which I technically don't have, to measure for the lengths. A good thing to do with that kind of crap is you just use it to start fires, or like if you got a waste oil burner, that'll burn good in that. See those big chunks down there? I think that's all ice, and because it's cold, the water in the fuel froze, and now everything that's left in the bottom of that tank is actually just fuel. What? Okay. Hold please. There's still quite a bit in there. Back from the wallet draining store. I went to my local Amish metal shop and he bent me up some new tank straps. I tried to find new tank straps, but they're just not available. It's a 28-inch tank, which is a weird size. Alright, I got both of these tanks pretty well cleaned out on the inside. Valves going in the back, I got those. Basically, just got to put them back in the truck. If you guys don't already follow my second channel, it's the Other 99 Projects, and I'm doing a video on this. This is a $400 Jeep I bought from the auction as inoperable, and I'm going to try to get it running and driving on that channel. It's not the right thing, but it's what I could find. You can't have a aluminum tank sitting on steel. It'll just explode immediately. I actually have to do a touch of welding here. I just got to weld that circle so that this comes together, and then weld a piece of all thread or a bolt or something out here. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. I like the tank straps. The rubber isn't meant for the tank straps itself. You do the best you can with what you got. One other thing I'm doing here is just rehooking up the old fuel lines back in the configuration that they came from. See how small the diameter is of that? Can't see it, but that's like a 1/2-inch hole there. Way to do this. How do I do that?
Yum. Looks like Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Or like Mountain Dew.
We even don't come back. quite. It's a balmy 20 degrees out. I should build a roof over this concrete pad and have to deal with the snow. Never leave plastic or garbage around. Always throw that stuff in the garbage. Littering is just such a gross thing. Oh, buggers! When you raise the cab, the radiator doesn't come with you. I can't pour coolant back up in there. Have to wait till we flip the cab down to do that, I guess. I do not like these Champion generators. That one I had from Harbor Freight was way better. I don't even know why that thing died. It just quit working one day. Plenty of oil in it. I'm gonna overfill that thing. I'll solve this problem. I should have just bought another Harbor Freight one. This one got me because it was cheaper. Take all of that. Brand new generator, I guess, eats oil without permission. Champion is an ironic name. It's probably not what I would name this thing. You know, I got up this morning and there's a couple things I was kind of dreading doing. It's also 20 degrees out. I've said it before, when you kind of start to feel like that, you need to figure out which is the hardest and most annoying thing to do, and you need to immediately go do that. It just seems like the day gets easier. Okay, we can finally get into the 4-state truck box. Oh my gosh. Dude, this is crazy. I generally send Jeremy a picture of what I have, and then he sends me a box full of everything that I need. It's flipping amazing. We even got hoodies, t-shirts, and a beanie. Oh, dude. These are actually legitimately one of my favorite hats. Look at this. These things are awesome. Okay, now the easy part is done. Now I have to make all of this turn into an exhaust. Love it. Well, let's start at the very beginning. Start with the turbo flange. It's like 25 degrees out here and my fingers just don't work. Oh man.
Oh, this battery is dead.
It's on and off. Can you unsheath me? Look at those pipes, boys. That is awesome. Whoever said that remodeling a truck in the middle of a snowstorm would not be fun? That was my template, my guy.
What?
Put some high temp RTV in this one. Nice, nice, nice. No! Ladies and gentlemen, please lend me your ears. All right, this is the moment of truth. All this work, 2 weeks of fighting, some really dumb mistakes. Will it run? That's a cold start. Listen to that, girl, run. Hold on. That would not be as satisfactory. Something changed in there, I don't know. One more time. Thrilled with that. nice now. No smoke. Guys, that is the best feeling in the world. Amazing. A huge thank you to 4 State Trucks for sending out the exhaust and all the parts. They absolutely nailed it, getting all the right parts and pieces here. They always do a great job. You can use my code PROJECT10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. This truck took literally 2 weeks of fighting and going back and forth, trying to get this thing running. So I appreciate all you guys who watched all the way to the end. That alone makes the biggest difference in helping to support the channel. And I also want to say a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed or interacted with the videos or watched it for even 1 second. I appreciate you and your time. I'm not done with this truck. I really want to get it driving, and there's a fair bit of work that has to happen before we can do that. But this video has gone on long enough. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll catch you on the flippity flop.